On the bustling streets of Havana, people still talk about Zunzunejo, a social media network that exploded in popularity. Cuban slang for hummingbird, it evoked the image of Twitter and had tens of thousands of cell phone users. Ernesto Guerra was one.
You would log on and write 140 characters. It was free of charge.
But what Guerra didn't know was that Zunzunejo was part of a U.S. plan designed to undermine the government of President Raul Castro and his brother Fidel. AP's investigation showed the organization behind this was the United States Agency for International Development, a federal agency best known for overseeing billions of dollars in U.S. humanitarian aid, which also has a mandate to spread democracy. The secret plan was led by USAID manager Joe McSpedon, who refused to talk to AP.
Was this a covert operation?
Later, a USAID spokesman said nothing about USAID's Cuba programs is classified or covert in any way. We carry out programs in a discreet manner to help ensure the safety of all those involved. The network came to life after a USAID contractor obtained 500,000 cell phone numbers on the state-owned mobile network. The contractor, Creative Associates based in Washington, D.C., was paid by USAID to hatch a plan to send text messages to Cuban cell phone owners. Initially, they sent messages about topics like weather, soccer, and music to build an audience and so as not to alert the Cuban government. Later, they planned to push messages which they hoped would encourage dissent. One USAID document said the aim was to renegotiate the balance of power between state and society. Secrecy was critical. Another document reads, "There will be absolutely no mention of United States government involvement."
They didn't want anybody to know what they were up to.
Former CIA analyst Fulton Armstrong was working for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at the time. He said tensions between Congress and USAID over what appeared to be clandestine operations started before the Zunzunejo project was launched.
We were told we couldn't even be told in broad terms what was happening because, quote, people will die.
USAID said in a statement that it is proud of its work in Cuba to provide basic humanitarian assistance, promote human rights and fundamental freedoms, and to help information flow more freely to the Cuban people, whom it said have lived under an authoritarian regime for 50 years. The agency said its work was found to be consistent with U.S. law. The first opportunity for the Zunzunejo team to test the blast messages came in September of 2009, when thousands gathered for a concert by Latin star Juanes in central Havana. In the weeks leading up to the concert, Zunzunejo sent out 500,000 messages to see if Cuban officials reacted. Overseas, front companies financed from a bank in the Cayman Islands were set up to prevent Cuban authorities from tracing the real source of the messages.
It's a really sad story when you have bureaucrats with some political intervention going around running operations for which there's no oversight and no transparency.
The plan never got to the point where any messages were sent to spark dissent against the Cuban government. In 2012, the texting service stopped abruptly when USAID said the funding ended.
Damn, I was on the service for so long and never realized what it really was.
Guerra wasn't the only one. Until now, few knew Zunzunejo's real purpose. For young Cubans, its disappearance was as mysterious as its origins. David Bruns, The Associated Press.